Sorry about that. We were just setting the mood for this week's Thanksgiving edition of the Rambler Sports Locker. I'm Nader Issa.
And I'm Kristina Carbonara. What do you think of our great feast, Nader? Pretty good, right?
Great feast? It's chicken from Chick-fil-A across the street. I'd still say it's great, though.
Speaking of great, the men's basketball team opened up its season Friday night against Rockhurst with an impressive win. Things didn't start out well for the Ramblers as Rockhurst staked a 20-13 lead in the first half. The Ramblers' initial comeback was silenced by this vicious dunk from Josh Brannon. Montel James immediately answered with a dunk of his own, and it was all Ramblers from there on. Early reports showed that Milton Doyle could miss the season. He ended up playing opening day, and what a game he had. Down 4, Doyle hits the 3 and the and 1. Doyle would complete the 4-point play and tie the game at 24. The Ramblers opened up the second half on a 13-0 run, with Devin Turk scoring all 8 of his points during that stretch. And then Doyle hits 3 of his 13 right here with a hand in his face. Christian Thomas later showed some range of his own by knocking down a 3. He finished the night with 14 points. The Ramblers couldn't stop Rockhurst's Dominique Washington, but that didn't matter as Montel James was just too much. James had 19 points and 8 rebounds, both team highs in his Rambler debut. The Ramblers won their home opener by a score of 71-58. After also defeating McKendree University on Monday, Loyola will enter its showdown against number 19 ranked Michigan State on Friday with a 2-0 record.
There are a lot of Chicago sports teams that aren't currently up to par, but one team is, and I think most of you know who I'm talking about. Emma Wheeler looks back to where the Blackhawks' historic success began.
It's been 30 years since the Bears have won a championship. For the Bulls, it's been over 15. It's no surprise Chicago puts their trust in the Blackhawks, who took home the Stanley Cup just 2 short years ago. Today, we can pay homage because it was this week in 1926 that the Hawks played their first game and won. It was November 17th, and they took on our neighbors to the north, the Toronto St. Patrick's, who we now know as the Toronto Maple Leafs. They played at the Chicago Coliseum in front of a crowd of over 7,000 people. They began their franchise success with a 4-1 win, going on to finish their first season in 3rd place, proving even then that they are a force to be reckoned with. As the Blackhawks would continue to grow in their success and skate through the hearts of Chicagoans, ice hockey would continue to take the Midwest by storm, becoming the favorite winter pastime it is today. 88 years on ice and hopefully 88 more. With This Week in History, I'm Emma Wheeler.
Let's see if the Cubs can catch some of that championship fever from the Blackhawks in the near future.
I wouldn't count on it.
The women's basketball team hosted Georgia Tech during its home opener last Friday. The Yellow Jackets dominated the game from the opening tip-off as Rodrika Rogers opened the game with a 3-point play. Simone Law helped the Ramblers stay close early on as this Tiana Karopoulos 3 got the Ramblers to within 2. But it was all Yellow Jackets from there, thanks in part to Kayla Davis, who hit the buzzer beater to go up 11. The Yellow Jackets shot over 54% from the field in the first half. Katarina Vukovic got 3 of her team-high 17 points right here to extend the lead. Kayla Davis matched Vukovic by scoring 17 as well. Becca Smith played with a lot of energy throughout the second half, and Simone Law had 16 points and 7 rebounds, both team highs. But the Yellow Jackets had 5 players scoring double figures and were just too much for the Ramblers to handle. The women's team lost by a final score of 92-51. For more on the women's basketball season, we sat down with Becca Smith in this week's Timeout segment.
How's it going, Rambler fans? I'm here with Becca Smith from the women's basketball team. How are you doing today, Becca?
Good, how are you?
Good. So we're 2 games into the season here. You've played some 2 very, very tough opponents. What have you taken from these first 2 games?
Like as you said, there were 2 very tough opponents. But I think, the whole season, as it's come along, it's just been a learning process. I mean, we're just still getting, to learn how to play with each other and, where we need to be on the floor and just, learning how to mesh together. And I think that that's coming along. So I think that these next couple of games will definitely be a test. We're not really going to get a break as far as competition goes the entire, non-conference season. So I definitely think that these games coming up will definitely be a test of what we've learned so far. And I think that, we'll definitely be able to get some wins here.
What games are you most looking forward to coming up here?
I definitely think that Northwestern and DePaul, being Chicago fights, I definitely think we're looking forward to those, and they'll definitely be good games.
And I know you definitely stepped up last year a lot with a lot of the injuries that happened. What do you look to contribute this year?
Once again, just trying to give the team whatever they need, whether that's scoring, whether that's playing defense. You know, I think that the team we have a lot of pieces, and I think that me, myself, just being a role player, just contributing whatever the team needs.
Great. And one last question here. With Thanksgiving coming up soon, what are you looking forward to eating most on Turkey Day?
On Turkey Day, I'm going to go with my mom's apple pie, definitely.
Well, thanks so much, Becca.
Thank you.
The women will play their next game this Saturday at Northern Kentucky.
This past Friday, both the men's and women's cross-country teams competed in the NCAA Midwest Regional in Peoria, Illinois. Coming in 10th out of 29 teams, the men's team racked up a total of 291 points, while the women's team totaled up 593 points, placing them at 25th among the 32 teams. Making headlines yet again, Sam Penzenstadler finished the 10K third overall with a time of 30 minutes and 11 seconds. His time was the fastest for a Loyola athlete since the Midwest Regional started back in 2005, and it qualified him for the NCAA Cross Country Championships that will take place in Terre Haute, Indiana this Saturday. Bridget Murphy has more on Penzenstadler's historic race and his plans for the future.
Senior Sam Penzenstadler has had a very successful career at Loyola in both cross-country and track and field. In his final cross-country season, he accomplished his goal of advancing to the NCAA national meet.
I was just happy that race was over because there's a lot of pressure with that race, and so I was just happy that it was done and that I finally made it because, yeah, I really wanted to, and I kind of had expectations too after the track season, so I was just real happy that I was kind of done and I finally did it.
Despite his success in cross country, Penzenstadler is not done.
He's aiming for All-American honors this weekend. Of course, indoor, he's got an opportunity to go after the mile national title indoor, and then outdoor again in the 15. So he's still got a lot of things he wants to accomplish here. And as good as he is, Sam does not hold a school record at Loyola. That's how good this program has been for the last 50 years. And so he would like to accomplish that as well. And if he accomplishes those things, I think he will get to those Olympic trials type marks to give him a shot to run in the U.S. Olympic trials. And you never know, the Olympics is down the road, but he's still improving.
Though he's shooting for gold medals eventually, right now he's preparing for his next race by resting his legs.
It's kind of, all the training that we've done is kind of in the books right now, so just kind of tapering down, so running not much mileage and actually not doing much at all.
When he runs in the national meet, Penzenstadler will join a list of recent Ramblers who have accomplished this goal.
I think the exciting thing about Sam is he's continued our streak of national qualifying appearances for Loyola. In the last 3 years, we've had, I think, 7 of the 10 championships that the NCAA has contested. We've put a Loyola athlete in one of those races, which is unprecedented in school history. Sam could be our first. His goal is an All-American finish on Saturday, and we haven't had an All-American in cross-country probably since, I think, 2002 was our last qualifier, but our last All-American was Eddie Slokowski in 1991.
As Penzenstadler again joins Loyola history, he reflects on his favorite moments of his illustrious career.
Definitely the first time I broke 4 was my favorite because that's kind of where it all started. And then as well as taking 3rd at Outdoor Nationals was awesome too, so those 2.
After cross country, Sam will run for both the indoor and outdoor track teams. For the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Bridget Murphy.
Sam Penzenstadler? More like Sam Penzenstadler.
Do you have a bit of a man crush there?
No. Sammy Hansen led the women's volleyball team to a come-from-behind victory against Drake University last Saturday in Peoria, Illinois. Hansen notched 16 kills and 7 blocks in the win, both career highs. Down 2-1, the Ramblers dominated the 4th set with a 25-19 victory. When the match came down to the final set, the Ramblers' defense took over as Loyola recorded 4 blocks en route to a 15-13 victory. The Ramblers will face Drake and Northern Iowa this weekend in a pair of home matches that will close out their regular season.
They say all is fair in love and war.
They do?
Yeah, trust me. But obviously football doesn't fall into either category because there will be a team from the NFC South in the playoffs. Stay tuned for this week's Ramble to see which team of contestants think will be fortunate enough to back into the division title.
Hey y'all, and welcome to this week's Weekly Ramble. I'm your host, Milat Mehta, and I'm joined by our reigning champion, Joaquin Carrig, and the challenger, Jake Mazanke's mustache, who Jake is just supporting. We are here to talk some NFL football. Fear not, Oakland Raider fans, which I know all people from Loyola are. Your team can actually win an NFL division. That is the NFC South. So let's find out which teams these guys think is going to win. Joaquin, let's start with you.
All right, well, I think we can all agree that Tampa Bay does not have a shot. And I know you personally might be sad about that since Lovie Smith is their head coach currently. But with that being said, I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints right now. With this point, all teams are struggling. But I think the Saints have the best chance, and that's for two reasons. My first reason is I believe right now the Saints have a better all-around offense currently. Drew Brees not having one of his amazing years, but 19 touchdown throws to this point in the season. Jimmy Graham already has seven touchdown catches. But the big thing about their offense is they actually have somewhat of a run game this year. Mark Ingram, and he has been out for a few games, but Mark Ingram has 6 touchdowns and 618 yards in his playing times this year, and that's pretty impressive because the New Orleans doesn't typically have a run game. And my second point has to do with schedule. One, the Saints play 2 primetime games left in their schedule. One at home, where they've won 14 straight primetime games. So I would count that as a win for them. And they play the Bears in their other primetime game, and they're struggling this year.
All right. Awesome points there. Jake, let's get on to you.
Well, first, I don't appreciate you knocking the Bears here. Let's go Bears. Second off, Milat, let me tell you something.
All right.
Football is about momentum. Momentum, Atlanta, the Atlanta Falcons they have right now, and that's why I'm picking them for the NFC South. The New Orleans Saints have lost their last 2 games, and Atlanta has won their last 2. Also, New Orleans has just put 2 players on IR, one of their starting safety, and Brandon Cooks, who was their deep threat in their last game against Cincinnati. The New Orleans Saints lost 27-10, and their offense was really kind of put at a stalemate because they didn't have a deep threat, and that is why I think Atlanta's going to pull through in this one.
All right, wow. You guys have some pretty interesting choices. Now, Joaquin, you mentioned how Drew Brees is still there in their running game, but Drew Brees is actually having his worst year since 2010, and then the running game has been filled with injuries. Pierre Thomas has missed time. Ingram, like you mentioned, has missed time. Kyrie Robinson might not play this week. So if that entire team's been a little banged up, how exactly are they going to sustain the pace necessary?
Well, one thing, and I don't think anybody necessarily needs to sustain a pace right now because there's so few wins among all of the teams. I don't think that's a problem. So it comes down to big games. And I'll comment on one of your points. Brandon Cooks, you mentioned that he's hurt currently. Well, he actually has yet to have one game where he's had over 100 yards receiving. So while he is an important part of the team, I wouldn't say he's absolutely crucial. The other comment I want to make is, since we're talking about individual games, the Saints play the Falcons at home coming up in the season. They are great at home, and I don't see the Falcons being able to take a win and any win is a big win for the Saints. So.
All right, that's really solid right there. And Jake, what about the Falcons' defense? Their defense ranks dead last in yards allowed per game. And, I mean, the Broncos didn't even go to the Super Bowl last year because they didn't have a defense. How is this team going to win the division without one?
You know, that's a good question. And Atlanta, they have been struggling on defense as of late. Like I said, though, last 2 games they came up big with 2 division wins. Also, first game of the season, they played the New Orleans Saints at home, came up with a huge win. So within the division, they've had a really strong showing. And as we've kind of talked about, the NFC South is really bad. It is bad. So each of these teams is going to have a weak point. Atlanta's defense hasn't been very good. But their offense has been very, very solid this year, and they have one of the best receiving cores in sports. So I think that they can pull through this year.
All right. You guys have both made awesome arguments. Rebut each other. See who wins.
Well, the last point I'm going to make is just pedigree at this point. Sean Payton and Drew Brees have had a lot of playoff success, a lot of success down the stretch run. I just don't see how you can bet against them at this point in the season.
I'm going to say the Atlanta Falcons, they are at the top of the division right now. They have the tiebreaker. They've already beat the Saints. Coming through the stretch here, they got one more shot at them, and I think they can pull another one off and get the victory.
Wow, they really made this one tough on me. I wanted them to pick Tampa Bay. Really, whoever did was going to get the win. Neither one of them did. So I'm just going to give this to Joaquin here because I do think that the Saints have a slightly better chance Although, I mean, who knows? Let's go back to the desk.
Who dat?
Oh yeah, Saints all the way.
No, seriously, who are those guys on the Ramble? Are they even on the show?
Yeah, Milop, Joaquin, Jake. You've talked to them all before. Never mind.
Something I do know is that the Chick-fil-A we ate earlier was the best thing ever. You don't have to take my word for it, though, because Kristina and I weren't the only ones excited about food earlier this week. After Northwestern's big win against previously ranked number 18 Notre Dame on Saturday, the Wildcats were a little bit more enthusiastic about their post-game meal than they were about the actual victory.
And we got Chick-fil-A! This is the best day ever! Oh, Chick-fil-A! And we get Chick-fil-A! Chick-fil-A too! Woo! And we get Chick-fil-A! Chick-fil-A! And we got Chick-fil-A! That's all you. Oh, and we got Chick-fil-A! Chick-fil-A! And we got the Chick-fil-A! Chick-fil-A!
I can see where they're coming from. I'm really looking forward to our post-show feast. I heard there's going to be turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes and gravy, maybe some pie.
I'm pretty sure we're just getting pizza.
Oh. Well, at least Thanksgiving is only a week away. That wraps it up for our special Thanksgiving edition of Rambler Sports Locker. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the handles you see below. I'm Kristina Carbonara.
And I'm Nader Issa. Thanks for stopping by the locker, and don't forget to turn out the lights. Some good chicken.